Dear students, we are starting the next chapter, chapter number 8, which is nothing but analytical procedures. So here we are going to do, as usual, MCQ, case study scenario, as well as descriptive question with respect to essay 520, which is nothing but analytical procedure. Before starting the questions as such, let me give you a very quick recap. Audit procedures are broadly divided into RAP, risk assessment procedures, FAP, further audit procedure. This RAP, risk assessment procedure, we do to identify and assess ROMM, risk of material misstatement. That is as per essay 315. FAP, further audit procedure, which is response to assessed ROMM risk, which is covered under essay 330 and 500 to collect evidence. Now, this further audit procedures is again divided into TOC, test of controls, to identify the effectiveness of internal controls, which is otherwise called as compliance test. Finally, we have substantive audit procedure. Substantive audit procedure, we call it SAP, where you have mainly test of details, TOD, where you check the transactions and balance. And finally, you have the analytical procedure, which we say it as substantive analytical procedure. You know why, students, it's called as substantive analytical? This analytical procedure means, I hope you are seeing the charts, diagram, graph, etc. In analytical procedure, we are doing some kind of comparison, comparing current year with prior period, comparing this entity with another entity, industry, actuals with budget. So even this analytical procedure can be conducted in risk assessment stage also. So here also we can conduct analytical procedure as a part of risk assessment procedure. But main analytical procedure is conducted as a part of substantive procedure towards the conducting and end of the audit. Here it's like planning of audit. To assess risk, you perform analytical. In substantive procedures, analytical procedures are done to obtain relevant and reliable evidence. And finally, to arrive at the overall conclusion, completion of audit. So, this is one of the important essay, students, essay 520. So first, starting with the MCQs, usual procedure. Substantive analytical procedures are generally more applicable to large volume of transaction predictable over time, both A and B, none of A and B. See, students, in essay 520, we specifically study analytical procedure comparison. This procedure is more applicable to large volume. Not only that, in analytical procedure, if you remember the definition, meaning of analytical, evaluation of financial information by analyzing plausible relationship between financial, non-financial information to identify, investigate fluctuation deviation from expected value by a significant amount. Here, analytical procedures are applied when you are having some predictable amount, expected value, which we have to predict. So it's applied for large volume, of course, and also for those transactions which you can predict over time. So answer is both A and B. Assume, students, you are unable to predict the expected value. How do you perform analytical procedure? In analytical, you compare the value actuals with expected predictable value. So it's applied more for large volume, which is predictable over time. Okay. Second one. Dash is the comparison of current data with the prior period balance. See, 4 types of analytical procedures are there. Ratio analysis, trend analysis, reasonableness test, structural modeling. Ratio analysis, you compare 2 or more balances. Say, for example, net profit ratio, where net profit by turnover, sales, 2 or more items. Like net profit, its relationship with sales. Current ratio, current asset, relationship with current liability. Trend analysis, where you compare an item of current year with the prior period. In reasonableness, you compare financial and non-financial. Financial data with mainly non-financial data, like number of employees, non-financial, with what? Salary, which is financial. Structural modeling, hi-fi tool, it's the statistical predictive model using some kind of cat, meow, CAAT, computer assisted technique, where you predict. So here they have asked comparison of current period with prior period balance, which is nothing but trend analysis. I hope you are clear with 4 techniques or tools for applying analytical procedure. Statement 1. Analytical procedures are more useful while conducting the audit and completion phase, and they are of no use in the planning phase. See, students, analytical procedures are performed in planning, performing, meaning conducting of audit, as well as completion. In planning phase also, analytical procedures are done to identify the risk, understand the business, design procedure. Here they say they are no use in planning phase. Naturally, this is incorrect. Statement 2. In the planning stage, audit procedure assists the auditor in understanding the client's business, identifying the potential risk. True. Audit procedures, analytical procedures are useful even in planning stage to identify where the risk by understanding the client to identify the raw MUM, risk of material misstatement. So this statement is correct. So answer is only statement 2 is correct. Kindly note, students, this can be even, these two questions. Now we are doing MCQ. For the examination, it can be asked as 2 marks, correct, incorrect also. What are analytical procedures? Substantive test designed to assess control risk. Is it to assess control risk? About internal control, we do test of test of controls. Substantive test designed to evaluate validity of management representation letter. Do we use analytical procedure to see whether written representation as per SA 580, do we use to check its validity? No. Analytical procedures are used to study relationship between financial and non-financial. That's the answer. Here you see in analytical procedure, plausible relationship between financial and non-financial. Why? To evaluate. Our base is always financial info. To evaluate financial, we compare plausible. Plausible means valid relationship between financial and non-financial. So the answer is C. Okay. Okay. Which of the following is not an analytical procedure? So out of this 4, we have to choose which is not an analytical procedure. Tracing purchases record in the purchase book to purchase invoice. Tracing purchases recorded in purchase book with purchase invoice. This is checking purchases recorded with the respective invoices. This is test of detail, where you check the account balance, class of transaction. Class of transaction means P&L. Account balance means balance sheet. In class of transaction, it includes purchases. So this is TOD, it is not an analytical. But let's read other options too. Comparing aggregate wages paid to number of employees. This is nothing but reasonableness check, which is analytical procedure. Comparing actual cost with standard cost, relationship you are tracing. Here also comparison, so it is analytical. They have asked you of which is not an analytical. So of course the answer is A. Sixth one. Analytical procedures issued in the planning stage of audit. Planning. We said no. Analytical is used in planning, performing, as well as completion phase. So in planning phase, to determine nature, timing, extent of other procedure, to attention to risk area, indicate important aspects of business, all of the above. See, in planning phase, we are just planning the audit. We have not started. If you do comparison, you can identify and assess ROMA risk. Once you identify and assess ROMA, how to obtain more understanding of the business? Where all ROMA is high, risk is high, to decide NTE of procedure. So, in planning phase, it helps in all of the above. Okay. Next one. The basic assumption underlying use of analytical procedure is, basic assumption they are asking while using analytical procedure is, A, it helps the auditor to study relationship among the elements of financial information. See, the basic assumption of analytical is to see plausible relationship between financial and non-financial. Here they say only financial. So that's not the answer. Relationship among data exist and continue in the absence of known condition to contrary. Nothing we understood, no? See, in analytical procedure, we are tracing the fluctuation or deviation when you compare it with the expected value. If you had not compared it with the expected value, without comparison, it would have been unknown and our opinion would have been contrary. It would continue unless we would have done analytical. Actually, students, analytical procedure, we can say it as a what? Attention directing process. Kindly mark these words. Analytical procedures are also called as attention directing process. Wherever you see huge fluctuation, deviation, our attention would go there. So answer should be B, but let's read others also. Analytical procedure will not be able to detect unusual relationship. No, no, no. Analytical procedure will help to detect unusual relationship. That's why we are comparing, no. None. So the answer is B. The basic assumption. Okay. 8th one. Primary objective of analytical procedure used in overall review stage of audit. See, students, we said, twice we said, planning we use analytical to identify risk, decide procedure, to understand. Then we use while performing, conducting, to obtain relevant and reliable evidence. Finally, in completion stage, that is overall review stage. Why? To arrive at the conclusion. Here they have asked in overall review stage. So it is nothing but why do we use? What is the objective of using in the overall review stage, completion stage? It is only to arrive at the conclusion. So A, to help to corroborate, support the conclusion. That seems to be the answer. To reduce the detection risk, direct attention to potential risk area, doubt whether, ability to continue client's business. See, client's ability to continue the business, that is SA 570. Potential area, you see in planning. To reduce the risk, you obtain relevant and reliable evidence, which is while conducting or performing. Here they have asked you overall review stage. So it is to corroborate, support your conclusions. Next one. Auditor compares GP ratio with that of previous year, and it is discovered that there is a fall in the ratio. This is an example of analytical procedure, test of control, walkthrough, sampling. Come on here, comparing GP ratio, ratio analysis. This is nothing but analytical procedure. I hope you are clear with these questions. Shall we move on to the next one? Few more questions are there, students. Substantive audit procedure. Substantive audit procedure comprises of substantive analytical, TOD, both, none. Do you remember when we started off this discussion, I gave you a chart, no? This one. Substantive audit procedure consists of test of detail as well as the substantive analytical procedure. We discussed that, right? Now see what they have asked you. Substantive audit procedure comprises of TOD and analytical. So the answer is both, B and C. Actually, students, there is a formula, no? Audit procedure is equal to RAP plus FAP, risk assessment plus further audit procedure. Further audit procedure is equal to TOC, test of control, plus substantive audit procedure. Substantive procedure comprises of test of details plus substantive analytical procedure. So here, next one. Which of the following is a technique available as substantive analytical procedure? External confirmation, ratio, trend, both, B and C. See, we have 4 analytical: ratio, trend, structural modeling, reasonableness test. This is a technique of audit procedure, not analytical procedure. Come on, come on, come on. Essay 505, external confirmation. Whereas these two, ratio and trend, are substantive analytical. So the answer is both, B and C. Timing of analytical procedure is only in the planning stage. Throughout the audit engagement, planning stage, in addition, completion, none. Actually, not only in planning, it's also there in performing as well as the completion. So here they say planning and completion only, performing they have not said. So both those are correct, but B seems to be more appropriate. Planning, conducting, and completion throughout the audit engagement. Next one. Which of the following is not a type of analytical procedure? From this, you have to identify one which is not an analytical procedure. Study of relationship of financial and non-financial. It is analytical, no. Plausible relationship between financial and non-financial. They want option which is not analytical procedure. Comparison of financial information with information regarding the industry in which it operates. Industry comparison is also analytical procedure. Comparison of recorded amount of disbursement with appropriate invoices. Here it is vouching or verification, where you check the details with invoices, vouchers, which is part of TOD. So that's not analytical procedure. So the answer should be C. But wait, comparison of financial with budgeted. Actual with budgeted. That is also tracing deviation, which is another analytical procedure. So the answer is C. Just two more questions of MCQ. Can we proceed? Which of the following statement is correct? Okay, which of the following statement is correct? Substantive analytical procedure are more applicable to large volumes of transaction that tend to be predictable over time. This was the first MCQ which we discussed. Just look above, first MCQ. This one I will show. You remember this? Large volume, predictable over time. So, of course, the sentence which we just read, no, that sentence is correct. They wanted the correct answer. This will be the answer, but still we will read. Substantive analytical procedure less applicable to large volume of transaction. No, more applicable. More applicable to small volume of transaction. More applicable to small? No, more applicable to large. All statements are correct. No. Now itself study that sentence. Substantive analytical procedures are more applicable to large volume of transaction that tend to be predictable over time. Coming to the last MCQ. Many questions asking which is correct, which is correct, which is correct. Some question is which is not correct. So here we have to find out of this option, which of the following is correct. As per SA 520 analytical procedure, the term analytical procedure means evaluation of financial information through analysis of financial data. It's not only financial and non-financial, no? As per SA 520, analytical procedure means evaluation of financial through analysis of only non-financial. No, both financial and non-financial. Next one, evaluation of financial through plausible relationship among financial and non-financial. That seems to be the answer. But let's read D. As per SA 520 analytical procedure, the term means evaluation of financial information through ratio. See, it's not only ratio, but also trend, reasonableness, structural modeling. So the correct answer is C. I hope you are clear with MCQ. So I was discussing the entire aspects of 520 also while doing. So next, can we proceed to the case study MCQ, students? So students, starting with the case study scenario with respect to essay 520 analytical procedure. Big question, huh? Shall we quickly read? Sun Private Limited is a newly formed private company engaged in manufacturing of solar panels. Company has appointed Messrs. MS Associates, a partnership firm of Mr. Meticulous and Mr. Sincere. What names, right? As their first auditors. Messrs. MS Associate accepted the assignment, and Mr. Meticulous, being the engagement partner, the person who acts and signs. We call it as engagement partner. Just to recall, essay 220 and company audit, person who acts and signs, should be a CA with the COP under 141 subsection 2. Okay. During the course of audit, Mr. Meticulous asked the management for name of the companies operating in similar business so that they can compare companies' figures. So here they wanted to do industry comparison, similar business, name of similar companies. During this procedure, Mr. Meticulous found gross margin of the company is lower than the industry standard or other fellow company, similar company. Here GP ratio. So he is doing analytical procedures very specifically. He is doing what? Ratio analysis. He had prepared an interim report dealing with this matter and asked the management about the reasons for deviation. In analytical, we trace fluctuation or deviation only. Management asked him to give all the working along with the working papers, as they believed it is company's property. See, students, we have studied, as per essay 230, working papers are the property of auditor. He may, at his discretion, make available extracts to the company. It's not the property of company. Mr. Meticulous advised them that he can provide the working but cannot give them working papers as they are the property of the firm. That's correct, no? It's property of firm. The management agreed to that and asked Mr. Meticulous to go into detail and tell him the reasons for lower margin, to which he agreed. Okay, they're asking the reason and going to hear the explanation. During the detailed audit, Mr. Meticulous came to know about the fact that company dispatched its solar panels to the distributors on delivery challan, and once goods were accepted, sales bill were raised. It's company's procedure. We call it a standard operating procedure, where they dispatch solar panel to distributor. Once they receive, sales bills will be raised. SOP, standard operating procedure, which is nothing but in our language, our own internal control. Checking each challan against sales invoice, Mr. Meticulous found that there were many challans for which no invoice was raised. Thus, sales were grossly understated. Sales has decreased because no invoices was raised. What invoice? Sales. And there was no mechanism where unbilled challans were recorded or tracked. There is no mechanism for tracing. Company employed a person to reconcile all the challan and prepared a list where bills were yet to be sent to customers. In addition, company also asked to seek confirmation of balances from all the customers, debtors, accounts receivable, as per SA 505. They are going to obtain external confirmation. The management assured Mr. Meticulous that inventories were physically verified, hence there will be no impact on them. So students, what issue happened in this para? Gross profit margin was very less. Sales bills were omitted. Now he is going to obtain confirmation so as to trace which all sales were omitted. Very good practical scenario question. Huh? I hope you understood all this from this. What are the questions? Mr. Meticulous asked about other companies he was intending to perform which procedures? We said no. Here, he was asking about other company, industry, similar industry. So that is nothing but industry comparison, analytical. So without second thought, answer is A. While performing the industry comparison, comparing with other industry, it is analytical. It's not just a substantive, not sampling statistical. Come on, all this is 530 question. What was the initial procedures carried on by Mr. Meticulous? Initial procedure, meaning what he was first doing. What he was first doing? He was checking the gross profit margin. Meaning, GP ratio, nothing but he was doing what? He was doing ratio analysis. So the initial audit procedure carried out by Mr. Meticulous was ratio analysis. It was not trend, it was not statistical, nor random sampling. It was ratio analysis where he checked the GP margin. Ratio analysis, relationship of two or more balances. Who has the right to retain audit working papers of the company in the current case? See, there was a small issue here. You know, whether the working papers belongs to the company or the auditor. We concluded, no, it belongs to the auditor. So in the given case, working paper naturally belongs to the auditor as per SA 230. Okay. Remember a sentence in SA 230? Audit working papers are the property of the auditor. He may at his discretion make available extracts or copies to the client. Next one. Mr. Meticulous decided to go in detailed checking of sales, which audit procedure he applied to obtain evidence. See, initially he compared this company with another company. So initially he applied gross profit margin ratio analysis, which is analytical. When he found out that there was some issue, you remember, what did he do? He decided to check the sales invoice and to obtain confirmation from customers. Checking of sales invoice is nothing but checking class of transaction. Obtaining confirmation from customers, it is nothing but account balance. Here, once analytical procedure has proved some kind of deviation is there in gross profit, he will go in depth checking, which is TOD. He checks sales invoice, customers. Sales invoice are transaction, customers are balance. These two combine, TOD, test of detail. So here the answer is both B and A. Last one. The impact of the exercise carried out by the company for unbilled chellan will have impact on what? Do you guys remember the last part where said? See, where? The company has employed a person to reconcile and to find out the bills were not yet recorded or sent to customers, to identify the bills which is not recorded. The management assures us that inventory they are physically counted, hence there will not be. So that because inventories are physically counted, no impact on inventory, meaning inventory is correct. Only bills have been omitted. Which bills? Sales bills. So when you prepare the reconciliation, you identify unrecorded bills. Then you record. Inventory is okay. So what is the journal entry? When you record the sales, which was left off, debtors account, debit to sales, which is nothing but gross receipts. So impact will be on debtors and receipts, which is sales. Answer is A. But wait, why not other three? Gross receipts and inventory will be impacted. We said no, because they physically count, there will not be any impact on inventory. Here is also inventory. Here they say only debtors. Where did this aspect grow? Both gross receipts and debtors will be impacted. I hope you are clear with this case study scenario. See, students, if you had noticed, while doing this case study, we were saying TOD, SA 230, referring to various other terms other than SA 520. So this is how a case study scenario will come for the examination also. So when you read the question, try to identify like this, what all are happening, so that when it comes to the question answers part, quickly we can find out the answers. With that, shall we move on to the next part, descriptive, students? So students, the descriptive questions with respect to analytical procedures. Okay. State correct, incorrect. Usually, you know, right? Correct, incorrect are asked in the compulsory questions mostly. 2 marks each. First one. As per Essay 520, analytical procedures, the terms analytical procedures means evaluation of financial information through analysis of plausible relationship among financial data only. So the answer is incorrect. You can write the definition of analytical procedure itself. Same. The term analytical procedure means evaluation of financial through analysis of plausible relationship among financial and non-financial information to identify fluctuation or deviation from expected value by a significant amount. Okay. Auditor can depend on routine checks to disclose all the mistakes, okay? All the mistakes or manipulation that may exist in accounts. See, students, while discussing analytical procedures, while doing MCQ, we said analytical procedures are attention directing process. It will detect unusual relationships which would have been unknown if we didn't do analytical procedure. So routine checks fails to detect all the mistakes or manipulation in accounts. Hence, auditor shall do what? Ratio analysis, trend analysis, reasonableness check, etc. Here they say routine checks will disclose all. No. So answer is incorrect. The only purpose of analytical procedure is to obtain relevant and reliable audit evidence when using substantive analytical procedure. See students, Essay 520, purpose of, objective of analytical procedures are 2 points. One, of course, to obtain relevant, reliable audit evidence while using substantive analytical procedure. But not only that, it also helps the auditor to arrive at the overall conclusion on FS. So here they say the only purpose of analytical procedure is to obtain this evidence. Where did this go? So answer is incorrect. What can you write? You will write this. As per Essay 520, the purpose is these two. See, if this word only was not there, then it would have been correct. Oh my God, how many times we discussed analytical procedures are required only in planning phase? Answer is, will you say or you want me to say? Incorrect. Analytical procedures are used in planning phase, execution or conducting performance phase, and overall review or completion stage, that is throughout the audit engagement. Here they are saying only in planning phase. Therefore, the answer is incorrect. Since we discussed the MCQ, the answer is too easy for us. This correct, incorrect. Okay. Substantive analytical procedures are generally less applicable to large volume of transaction that tend to be predictable over time. Didn't we study a sentence? Analytical procedures are more applicable to large volume of transaction that tend to be predictable over time. I made you study also. So answer is incorrect. A ratio analysis is useful in analyzing the revenue and expenditure account only. Who said? See, ratio analysis, one example is GP, which says P&L account, revenue and expense. Can't we use current ratio where current asset by current liability, which is balance sheet item? Here they say it is only useful. The ratio analysis only useful for revenue and expense. So the answer is incorrect. Ratio analysis is useful for analyzing revenue and expense and also the elements of balance sheet, assets and liability. You have to write correct, incorrect. Here the answer is incorrect. Then this two-line explanation. If you give correct explanation, you will get 2 out of 2 for correct, incorrect question. Just 2 more questions, students. Chapter is over. Reasonableness test rely only on events of prior period like other analytical procedure. No, students. Reasonableness check compares the relationship between financial and other non-financial information. So answer is incorrect. So you will write in reasonableness test, it not only relies on prior period but also checks financial with other non-financial elements. Final question, winding up. The statutory auditor of the company can apply analytical procedure to standalone FS only, not to consolidated financial statements. I hope you know standalone and consolidated. Assume A Limited, holding company. They have B, they have C, which is subsidiary, associate. While preparing the group financial, you call it as CFS. I mean, consolidated financial statements. When you prepare A is alone, B is alone, C is alone, it's FS. You call it as stand-alone. You study in accounts, consolidated financial statements. Now, in this question, they say statutory auditor can apply only to standalone, not to CFS. Why not? In CFS also, it is line by line addition of A, B, C. So analytical procedures can be applied for standalone and also consolidated financials where you compare relationship with financial, non-financial. With that, students, we are winding up, wrapping up the chapter number 8 on analytical procedure. I hope it was clear. Shall we move on, students?